Hello friends, welcome to Vara Learnings. So in our discussion on Indian polity, we had started with DPSP. DPSP, that is DPSP stands for Directive Principles of State Policy. So in our previous video lectures itself, I had said the topics that has to be covered in DPSP. Firstly, we must know the meaning of DPSP. DPSP, that is the directive principles, that is it gives guidelines or the directions for whom it gives guidelines for the state to make policies. So while the state is formulating policies or laws, state has to have some guidelines, right? So these guidelines are given by directive principles of state policy. So next is background. We had got the idea of having the directive principles of state policy from Ireland. So, and also this before independence also, this directive principles of state policy was already there. That is, it was there in the form of instrument of instructions. And this instrument of instructions was introduced through the Government of India Act of 1935. And directive principles of state policy is similar to this instrument of instructions that was introduced through the Government of India Act of 1935, and this was before independence. So after independence, we have it in the form of DPSP, and the idea of having this was from the Ireland or the Irish Constitution. If we see the characteristics of DPSP, we studied that directive principles of state policy or non-justiciable rights. So justiciable rights in the sense we can seek justice for the violation of those rights, whereas DPSP is non-justiciable. That is, we can't go to courts and seek the justice for the violation of DPSP. So DPSP is non-justiciable in nature, and DPSP is amendable in nature. That is, see, with the changing times, the society, the needs of the society also changes, right? So constitution must have that flexibility to accommodate the changing needs of the society with the changing times. So DPSP also should have that flexibility, right? So DPSP is amendable in nature, and this DPSP is more of community oriented rights. If we see fundamental rights, it is giving rights for a person, for individual. So it is more of individualistic rights, it is more of personal rights, whereas DPSP is community rights because it speaks about the entire community of SC, ST, women, so children and all that. So it is community rights. And also DPSP is called as the positive obligations on the state. Why DPSP is called as positive obligations? As I said, DPSP is the guidelines for the state. It is telling the state what it has to do while formulating the policies and laws. So it is like positive obligations on the state. If we see fundamental rights are negative obligations, because fundamental rights says state not to do certain things. It is asking state not to prohibit, not to discriminate, all such kind of things. So fundamental rights are negative obligations on the state, whereas DPSP is positive obligations on the state because it tells what the state has to do. So this is about the characteristics of DPSP. And then what is the importance of having the DPSP in our constitution? So DPSP is very fundamental in the governance of the country, right? Because using this DPSP itself, all the policies, laws are getting formulated. So it is fundamental or the basic in the governance of our country. So the performance of any government, if the opposition is criticizing the performance of any government, it has to have certain measuring tool, right? So this measuring tool is DPSP. It is a yardstick to measure the performance of the government. So DPSP is used as a measuring tool to see how the government is performing. So hence this is the importance of this DPSP. So the list of DPSP, we had started with the list of DPSP. That is, if we see the classification of DPSP, here one more thing that has to be remembered is this classification of DPSP is not given anywhere in our constitution. This classification of DPSP is based on content, and this is for a convenience. That's it. That is, the principles that promote the equality are called as socialistic principles. The principles that promote the Gandhi's ideologies are called as the Gandhian principles, and the directive principles that promote the freedom are called as liberal principles. So DPSP is classified as socialistic principles, Gandhian principles and liberal principles, and this classification is nowhere seen in the constitution. It is just based on the content, that is nothing but the directive principles that promote the equality, Gandhi's ideas, and those that promote the freedom. This is about the classification of directive principles. We had started with the classification already in our previous lectures, and we had covered the socialistic principles, that is Article 38, 39, 41, Article 42, and Article 43, 43A, and 43B. All these articles promote equality. There is a content of equality in all these principles. Hence, all these articles comes, all these directive principles comes under the socialistic principles, and we had seen the content of each article in our previous video lectures. Now we shall study about the next DPSP, that is the Gandhian principles. As I said, those principles that promote the Gandhi's ideas are classified under this Gandhian principles. If we see the ideas of Gandhiji, he said India lives in villages, right? So his focus was mainly for the development of villages. When it comes to the governance of villages, he wanted to have this concept of Gram Swaraj. Okay, and also if you see the village economy, agriculture, even now agriculture is the primary activity of villages, right? For that purpose, he wanted to develop agriculture, and he spoke about the animal husbandry. He wanted to establish this cottage industries and all that. So these are the ideas of Gandhi, and also his main principle was ahimsa. For that reason, DPSP has included something called as a prohibition of cow slaughters. So these are all ideas of Gandhi, and also he was very much against the alcohol. So for that reason, there's something called as prohibition of this alcohol consumption in this DPSP that has been included. And also he mainly spoke about Harijans, that is SC community. He wanted to develop this SC community and used to address Dalits as Harijans. So all these ideas of Gandhi have been taken and have been included in DPSP. So all those principles that have these ideas of Gandhi are classified as Gandhian principles. We shall study that now in detail. Firstly, we have is Article 40. What is this Article 40 speaking about? Is Article 40 tells about the establishment of Panchayat Raj institutions as the institutions of self-governance. That is, this is Gandhi's ideas, right? Gandhi wanted to have this Gram Swaraj. Swaraj is independence. Gram is villages. He wanted to make villages independent in the governance. For that purpose, he wanted to, the government, the DPSP is also saying, let's establish the Panchayat Raj institutions as the institutions of self-governance. So this is about Article 40. This is about the Gandhi's ideas, and which the constitution makers have included in DPSP. Next we have is Article 43. Article 43 says about the promotion of cottage industries on the on an individual or the cooperative basis in rural areas. Yes, with this ideas also, it is also having that Gandhi's ideas, right? He wanted to make villages self-sufficient, self-governed. So this is also having the concept of self-sufficiency of villages, Gram Swaraj, and these are all the Gandhi's ideas which we have in Article 43. Next we have is Article 46. Article 46 says promotion of education and economic institutions of SC, ST and other weaker sections and protect them from social injustice and all forms of exploitation. Yes, for this purpose, if we see for education, there's a lot of schemes for SC, ST in the field of education. The best example, Ekalavya schools for ST community. Government has brought up this because DPSP is asking for it, and this is the Gandhi's ideas also. So this is about the promotion for the promotion of education. For a promotion of economic institutions, if we say, we for tribals, for ST community, we have something called as TriFed. For SC, we have FDC, Federation Development Council for SC community. What it does is, TriFed, if we see it, TriFed, what it says, usually ST community, it will have all this forest produce. If it is selling in the market, it gets it gets treated by the people. They usually purchase it at the low prices, right? For the ST community, to get that better prices and all that, what TriFed does is, on behalf of people, this TriFed purchases from the ST community, and it comes with the better prices and it sells in the market. So TriFed does all this to reduce the exploitation on this ST community. So this is about TriFed, and this FDC, if you see, it also provide loans to SC, and there are a lot of things it does for the promotion of the economic promotion of this SC community. This is about Article 46, and this is about the activities that the government is doing for all the for promoting the education and economic institutions or economic activities of this SC, ST and other weaker sections. If we see here, it is saying and protect all these from the exploitation, even fundamental rights, right? If we see Article 23 and 24, that is right against exploitation. Even in this also fundamental rights also is saying we shall have that right against exploitation. So fundamental and directive principles are have that correlation, and this fundamental and directive principles of state policy together it aims together it is aiming to fulfill the aims and aspirations that is given in preamble. This is very clear. If you see some of the directive principles, it is also the content is already seen in fundamental rights also. That has to be kept in mind. That is fundamental rights and DPSP have that correlation, and together they want to establish that aims and aspirations that is given in the preamble of a constitution. This is about Article 46. Next we have is Article 47. Article 47 says increase the level of nutrition, standard of living and improve the public health and prohibit the consumption of intoxicating drinks and drugs. For that reason, if we see to increase the level of nutrition, government has come up with the ideas like National Nutrition Mission. For health, we have as National Health Policy. For intoxicating drinks and drugs also, since this is the ideas of Gandhi, if you see on the day of Gandhi Jayanti, all these shops will be closed, right? So this purpose, for this nutrition purpose also, there is a lot of schemes, that welfare schemes that government has brought up, and one such is National Nutrition Mission. We have National Health Policy, etc. So this is about Article 47. Next article we have is Article 48. Article 48, it says about the organization of agriculture, animal husbandry and prohibition of cow slaughter. If we see about agriculture, there are a lot of welfare schemes. One is Pradhan Mantri Krishi Kishan Yojana, we have Krishi Sinchai Yojana, we have watershed development programs. So all these programs are for agriculture, and this is one of the directive principles of state policy also. So this is about Article 48. With this Article 48, we have completed the Gandhian principles that is there in the directive principles of state policy. That is all those articles which have the content of Gandhi's ideas comes under this Gandhian principles, and we have completed this Gandhian principles. Next we have is the liberal principles. So this liberal principles is nothing but those principles that promote the freedom. Liberal is freedom, right? So all these principles which have the content of freedom comes under this liberal principles. We shall study about this liberal principles of directive principles of state policy in our next video lectures. For more video lectures, keep watching Vyara Learnings, and also please share, subscribe Vyara Learnings. Keep watching and please keep learning. Thank you.